So I survived my first craft show, and coming up, I'm going to share my best and worst sellers, the total amount I sold, and whether or not I would do it again. Hi there, welcome to the Upcycle Design Lab. My name's Cindy, and I craft using recycled and repurposed materials to give you ideas on how to make and create more economically and ecologically. If you've been watching my videos recently, you know I've been doing a lot of videos on my first craft show, and I'm going to wrap it up today. If you're interested in getting to the whole series, I'll put a link to all those videos in the description box. And today, though, we're going to talk about what I think people are most interested in, and that is what I sold, how much I sold, if I'd really actually do it again. Before we get started, I did want to apologize. I missed last week's video. I've been fighting with a cold ever since I got back from the craft show, and we also are doing a lot of work on our house, so everything's a bit of a mess right now. I did kind of carve out one little clean corner to do my filming today, but I did want to just sort of apologize if you've been waiting for this last installment of my first craft show videos. I did want to take just a minute to talk about the psychology of being in a craft show, at least the way that it affected me. I feel like there's so much I could share about the experience, and I don't want to go on and on and on forever. So if I covered something and you would like a little more information, please feel free to ask me a question in the comments. If there's something else that you think I can answer for you, I'm happy to offer anything I learned from this show. But I did want to just touch on the idea that I think there are three kind of categories that vendors fall into when they are at a craft show. And you can be more than one, but I think that you are primarily one of these things. So there are business people, artists, and craftspeople, I would say. And part of my intimidated feeling on Friday, if you saw my other video, you know Friday was kind of a down day for me. But part of that intimidation was that I felt like I was surrounded by business people and artists. And I'm a crafts person. But what I said in my last video, and I really believe is true, is that there's space for all of us there. And it doesn't mean that if you're a business person, you're not an artist, or if you're a crafts person, you're not a business person. It just kind of means that the way I viewed a lot of the vendors around me, there were definitely other crafts people there, but that was primarily my booth was sort of that craft person feel, if that makes any sense. Anyway, you know, the business people are there just selling a thing that they are making, and they're making a profit on, and they're moving a lot of product. And then the artist type people I saw had much higher priced things, but they were also sort of had a following and had can sort of charge that higher price because their name is associated with the piece of work that they do. And so they were, you know, sort of less sales and higher priced sales, I think, whereas the business people have sort of pared it down to a really more volume of sales kind of idea. And then there were people like me who sort of had just sort of a little more hodgepodgey things, trying to cross a broad range of price points, but definitely I like to, you know, make different things. And so for me to make multiples of something is sort of a new thing for me. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but if you're thinking about attending a craft show, I just wanted to throw my ideas out there about those three kind of categories that you can find yourself in, and just to remind you that you're going to find business people that are serious, you know, sellers and do a lot of craft shows. You're going to find people that are very, very talented in their art form, whether it's painting or weaving or sculpting, and they're going to have very high price point, beautiful items to sell. And I suspect if you're going to your first craft show, perhaps you're more like me and you're just sort of have made a few cute little things and you want to see if anybody would pay you for them. And I'm saying they probably will, because there are all kinds of people attending shows like this. So once again, I just want to encourage you to not do what I did, but just listen to what I say. And that is to try not to let those folks that are more powerhouse kind of sellers and artists to make you feel like your stuff doesn't belong there. So before I get started, I did want to mention one thing. In case you're not aware, most of the items that I made were made from recycled tin cans, like soup cans and vegetable cans. And then there were a couple of other items that I recycled as well. But my top seller was the tin can earrings, and I sold 11 of those. So you'll have to forgive me, I'm referring to my notes here. And they were $15 a piece. The next thing were the kids' grab bags, and honestly I just kind of threw this in as a last minute idea because I had a bunch of stuff that I thought, oh my gosh, if I could get rid of it, it'd be great. So I threw a bunch of things, little knick-knacky things, into some grab bags, and I just charged $5 a piece for those. But it did help to kind of get people's attention, and they stopped and looked, and I sold 9 of those for $5. The next item were some watch face earrings. So obviously the earrings are a good seller. I sold 8 of those for $20. And then the next item was the dragonflies that I made, and these were actually made out of aluminum cans and magazine paper, but I sold 5 of those for $20. And I guess I should mention that if you're interested in any of the tutorials, you can get to those in the description box as well. If you want to know how to make any of these items yourself, you can certainly go to the description box and check out those video tutorials. Next up, I guess I should have had this ahead of the dragonflies, because I sold 6 of these, but I had 2 different sets. So I made some Christmas ornament sets out of the tin cans as well, and I had a couple of different versions, but all told I sold 6 of those. So I sold 3 of each, and they were $15 also. I did sell one watch face pendant for $25 that I also used the watch parts to make those. I didn't sell any watch bracelets. I sold a couple of the wreaths, but not until the second day, and I actually ended up marking them down to $35. So I sold 2 wreaths for $35. And I sold 3 wreath kits altogether. On Saturday I sold 2 wreath kits for $35, and then, like I said, I did mark some things down on Sunday. On the last day, so I sold 1 wreath kit for $25 on Sunday. So that was 3 total wreath kits. I sold a t-shirt for $20, and then I sold some bottle cap beads, quite a few of those. There were 3 for $1, so people kind of just dug through the pile and threw a couple dollars my way. Anyway, I think that covers, I sold 2 big hoop earrings that are made from the aluminum cans, and those were $10. So I think that's everything I sold. I did not sell any of my tin can mirrors, which was kind of disappointing. I knew they were kind of a higher price point, but I didn't sell any of those. I did not sell any of the propagation wall hangers that I made out of tin cans and fence posts, which was also a little disappointing. I did get one person to congratulate me because this project was actually featured in Green Craft magazine, so they did sort of say, hey, congratulations on being published, but I didn't end up selling any of those. And I also didn't sell any of the tin can purses that I made, which I thought were kooky and silly and fun, and I was, sort of excited about them. But they got a few comments of, oh, that's cute or whatever, but nobody did end up buying any of those either. As far as the mirrors and the purses go, I think maybe that I didn't have quite good enough quality for the show and the price I was asking. So if I ever did it again, I would change a few things to make both of those items a little better quality. Hey, if you're enjoying today's video, please be sure to click that like button. If you haven't already subscribed, think about subscribing, and also check the bell icon so that you're notified when I upload new videos. Sorry, I actually forgot 3 items. I did sell one of my bed spring and tin can bobblehead snowmen for $15 and one of the tin can Christmas trees that I made for $20. I also had some coaster sets made out of tin cans that I did not sell any of. So I think that's everything that I had for sale. If I forgot anything, I'll be back to let you know what it was. So that is the recap of my sales. All told, it was $840 in sales plus the tax that I collected. On the subject of taxes, you do need to collect sales tax. It's pretty easy to figure out what the sales tax rate is. Probably if you're going out of state, the application, you can find out from whoever's putting the show on what the sales tax is. And I mentioned in a previous video that I used the Square reader and app to take my credit card payments, and in that app you can put in the sales tax and it will automatically just apply it to any sales that you make. So it was the first time I'd ever really used Square, and it was very easy, and at the end of the show it just gives you the total amount of your taxes that you collected. So it was pretty easy just to figure out how to remit those to the state of New Mexico. But I just did want to give a shout out to Square. It was pretty easy and very user-friendly. You can put your inventory in there. You can take pictures of the items that you have. So I really liked it. It was very easy to use. And like I said, you do need to remit your sales tax. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think it might depend on the state that you're in, exactly how long you have to send in those taxes, but that's something you can kind of figure out at the beginning. You need to address that with your business sales license and special event licensing and things like that, which I also talked about a little bit in a previous video. But once you kind of set it up, you can forget about it in the middle, and then at the end you can go back in and do the sales, remit the sales taxes. I also wanted to talk a little bit about my goals for this show, because I think most people, and if you do it very often, your main goal is obviously going to be to make a profit. But to be honest, that was not my goal from the start, because the booth was fairly expensive. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about my costs, but the booth was expensive. I had a hotel expenses, parking expenses, gas, all the travel expenses. So I was hoping to cover my costs, which I did not quite do, but it did kind of offset that. So I wasn't expecting this to be a big money maker. Now, certainly if I had been local, it would have been a much better deal for me to go to this show. So covering my costs, I didn't quite make that. Another goal that I had was just to have the experience of doing it. And I did go alone. I had a couple people offer to help me out. But honestly, I kind of just wanted to see how I was going to manage, and I wanted to kind of sink or swim without anybody kind of there watching or cheering me on or trying to, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing it by yourself, especially if you're traveling out of state. There were some stressful moments about, setting things up and tearing things down. Most people did have some help doing that. So if you're going to do it alone, be sure you do practice setting everything up and tearing it down so you do know how to do it pretty quickly. And if I did it again, I would certainly have somebody there for the moral support. But for this first time, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of try it on my own. But certainly consider that what kind of personality you have, and whether you want to kind of just experience it on your own or whether you'd like to have some help. So that's just something to think about. I'm not recommending one way or the other on that. So for the experience part of it, I was very happy, and I'm glad I did it on that. So that was a positive. I also was hoping to get a lot of people to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to my blog, But honestly, that was probably the biggest failure of all of it. This particular show was not a lot of DIYers, I don't think. I think they were more sort of shoppers. And honestly, it is called the Recycle Santa Fe Art Festival. And there were a lot of artists there with some higher end things. And I think there were a lot of people there kind of shopping for that nicer item, maybe if I'm. So in some ways, this wasn't the right show for me to go to. I thought it would be a really good show to go to because it was all about recycling. But having gone to it, I realized that maybe my stuff is suitable for any craft show, and you could kind of advertise that it's recycled, and maybe that's an additional positive for people that are shopping, just at a regular craft show. So the subscriber thing was not, yeah, that was a big negative. I didn't see any notable increase in subscribers to either my YouTube channel or to my blog. The final reason that I did it was obviously for this series, which has been a positive thing, and I hope that over time people will get some value out of it. It'll be sort of something that you can watch multiple videos on and check out the topics that you're most interested in, and hopefully the things that I'm talking about will be, sort of have longevity and be pertinent a couple years from now, just like they are today. So that was overall a positive. So the whole experience was definitely a positive thing for me. And that brings us to, would I do it again? And the answer to that is a little complicated, because certainly if I did it more, I would be looking more to making an actual profit from my sales. So I did actually try to get into another show here locally, but it was already full. So I do think that I will do it again. I'm not entirely sure that I would go to this Recycle Santa Fe Art Festival show again, but I'm not totally writing it off either. I would not go down there with the intent of making a ton of profit because of just all the travel expenses. But I definitely, it was fun. It was fun to sell some stuff, and it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get ready and prepare. And so I am definitely not going to be a person that makes that a primary part of their business. But I do think that it has a place in what I'm doing. And so I think that I probably will do it again. Overall, it was a fun experience, even though there are really ups and downs about it, because it is a very emotional experience if you are a crafter or an artist. I think the business people have been kind of able to separate themselves away from the personal side of it a little bit. But there's something very personal about, I made this thing and now I'm offering it up for you to buy. And so it was a learning experience, and I think it's good to be able to kind of try to step away from that really personal connection that you have with the things that you've made. So, like I said, I definitely would do it again. But I don't think it's the primary, it's not a primary source of my income by any means. So thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in getting to my craft show series, you can check out the playlist here. Or if you're more interested in just making some things, here are some of my tin can project tutorials in this playlist below. Happy upcycling. I hope to see you back here soon in the lab.